with some glass, with a glass cross on it. Now what I have is one of the hard canvas boards that you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and I have painted it white. Okay, I went ahead and dipped my thing into the paint as well, so we'll move that aside. So I went ahead and painted my canvas white. It's the hardboard one. Okay, so we got a nice coat of white paint. Hello, everybody. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. And what I've also done too is I created a little tracer that looks like this. And I went ahead and traced the image onto my board. That'll help us go faster, and it'll also help me stay in line. Okay, so if you're interested in the tracer or making sure you have the supply list, just let us know in the comments and we'll make sure you get that via private messenger. I'm gonna go ahead and get started and you can see what we're doing. Okay, I'm just gonna paint my flag area. Hello, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and paint. I'm using red, white, and blue, and I have a smidge of gold. The exact colors will be in the supply list. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint the blue part of my flag. Y'all know it's killing me not to say hi to everybody. I do wanna say, if you're new here, we do a weekly live on Wednesdays, and we would love to have you join us. So if you have never watched us, I have to hold my mouth right when I'm doing this. If you've never watched us create art live, so we'd love for you to like our page and come join us on Wednesdays for live art every Wednesday. Okay, so I'm just gonna fill that in with blue paint. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm actually gonna turn it this way so you can see better. Okay, so I am going to next just take a brush. That's just a 3/4 inch brush. I'm gonna go into my red, and I am going to add red every other stripe just real quick. And I'm not trying to be perfect, okay? Welcome, newbies. I'm not trying to be perfect. I just want to get red on there because I am going to come back with a palette knife and kind of jack it up a little bit. I want it to be kind of loosey-goosey and blended. So I'm just going to get a little bit of red on the stripes I want to be red. Ooh. Make sure you get those tracer lines. I'm not going to futz with those too much on this live because I'm a perfectionist sometimes, and it will take all my time. So are you guys enjoying the craft-a-thon so far? There have been some great presenters. I watched the little piggy bank from the last presenter. That was super cute. Super cute. Thanks guys for coming. So I'm just gonna paint in my red. I have to kind of work fast because we're gonna add glass and resin to this. And y'all know the resin takes a certain amount of time to stir. So I have to make sure I leave time for that. And try not to go over my time and get in trouble. I don't want to take away from the next crafter. Okay, so now I'm going to take my palette knife. Okay, these are super cheap at Hobby Lobby. They come in plastic as well. I'm going to dip into my white. Can you see my palette? I'm just going to dip into the white because the background is already white. I'm not going to stress too much about that. I do want to make sure that my tracer line is covered, but I'm gonna let some of this white go into the red a little bit as well. So, and I'm gonna be working wet on wet, and if you do this project on your own and want things to dry between, go right ahead. I have limited time, so I'm gonna just keep on keeping on. I don't have that luxury today. I like working wet on wet anyway. So I'm gonna get a little bit of white down here. You get a brush. That little points will be a little bit harder to do with this fat palette line. So, okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip this around so I can get the other side, and then we're gonna messy it up. We're gonna messy it up so it's not perfect. Who likes messy crafts? All right, so we'll get some white on our white stripes. Woo. All right, if you're new here, again, we would love for you to like our page. We do lots of fun lives on this Art Shattered page. Okay, so while all the colors are still wet, I'm gonna intermix a little. I still have some white on my palette knife, so I'm just gonna kind of run my colors together. I'm gonna get a little bit of white in the red. I'm gonna get a little bit of red in the white. I made a little mess here. We'll clean that right up. I'm a messy person, guys, but that's okay. All right, so now we're gonna get a little bit of that red into our whites and just make it, I gotta go this way because my writing hand. Just make it kind of blended. If you get too much blended, you can always come back with a color. I'm gonna take some blue on my palette knife, and we'll just come up here, freshen up that blue a little, and we're gonna get a little bit of those colors on that knife and mess that up too. I'm gonna get a tiny bit of red, just a little bit, and just kind of blend it into my blue. And we'll get a little bit of white, just a teeny bit. Blend that in as well, so nothing is one solid color. It's kind of messy. And I got a little bit of a mess up here, so I'm gonna fix it. Got some blue on my hand, obviously, and then on my... So basically a super messy heart that looks kind of like a flag. Looks kind of like a flag. So I'm gonna correct some of these mistakes a little. So I have to tell y'all, while I am futzing, that this morning I got up, I curled my hair, took a shower, did all the things, and I walked straight out of my house with no makeup on. It's a good thing I don't care because I'd been in trouble, but I left the house with zero face. No face on. Okay, so I'm just kind of blend this a little bit with my paintbrush. Fill out the tips. I'm gonna bring the red down to finish out the stripes so you can see the complete heart. Super messy, okay? So while we're letting that dry, and I'm trying to keep an eye on my time, while we're letting that dry, I wanna show you what we're gonna add, okay? These are glass strips. I cut these out of a sheet glass. Like you can buy this 12-inch square pieces of sheet glass at a Hobby Lobby. So I cut 1/2-inch strips. One is about 10 inches and one's about 9 inches long. And we're gonna use these to create a cross in our heart. We'll move that up. And I also have 4 smaller pieces for the horizontal part of our cross. So I'm gonna grab some glue. This is clear glue, Aleene's clear. And I'm just gonna put a dot or two of glue on one of my glass strips, okay? And stay tuned. Like I said, if you don't like if you're not a not a member, but if you don't like my page, go ahead and like it now, because we teach you how to use these strips, how to cut them, all that stuff on my page, okay? So this is still wet, but we're gonna work with it. So I'm gonna take some glue and I'm going to do the edge of my glass with just a little bit of glue. Boom. And I'm gonna put this right in the center of my heart. Boom. Right there. So you can see, I've just, and you want it to be a little bit higher at the top and at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the same thing with these. I'm gonna put one dot of glue on one piece, and then what that does is help sandwich those two pieces together so they stand up really nicely while we're waiting on everything to dry. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on that edge. We're gonna add that in right wherever you feel the horizontal pieces need to be. Some like them high, some like them low. Oh, I'm a hot mess today. Hot mess. Thank you guys for being here. I hope y'all are enjoying the craft-a-thon. Let's stick this one right in as well. So now we have, I'm gonna get a little bit of white on my brush again because I still have some blue where I had a little boo-boo up here at the top. And I want that, oh, thanks, Gail. I want that to go away. I don't want that showing through. So correct my little boo-boos. I had paint on my hand. We may just throw some glass up there. Okay, so what you have so far is a messy painted heart, painted like a flag, and then our cross in the middle. Okay, so one of the other things I brought was just a little chip of glass from just a scrap vase or something. And we're gonna add a little bit of glue to that. Thanks, Amy. We're gonna add a little bit of glue to that and stick it right in the middle. That kind of ties that together. Can you see that? I don't want to tilt it, it'll fall off. So I want to tell you too, if you ask a question and I'm not able to answer it because I'm kind of just trying to focus on this piece, don't worry, I will come back. I will come back after the craft-a-thon is finished and answer any questions you might have. So don't think you're being ignored or that your question is not going to get answered. I'm just making that worse. Let me spit on it. I'm a mama, so spit fixes everything, right? All right, so I'm trying to get that little messy spot to go away. I don't want this to be a loss. There we go. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna use is something you can buy at your local Michael's Crafts, okay? This is glass. It's in the floral department, and this is kind of a blue metallic jar of crushed glass. You can see how pretty and sparkly that is. And what I'm gonna do is add that to the blue part of my cross, just very randomly. I don't want to like try to place every piece. I'm going to very loosely and randomly add some of this glass to the blue side. Leave some space. So this is like, I think this is like $8 at the Michael's Crafts in the floral department. And it really kind of brings everything to life. And you could even, if you wanted to, I'm gonna keep mine on the blue part, but you can, they have other colors and they have clear. And what you can do is just add some of that to the other parts of your cross, heart, flag, cross as well. And something else you could do is scoot your heart over to the left or right and then add your name to the edge as well. Now I'm gonna do one more thing before we mix resin, if I can. So I like to do details, and I use this classic, it's called graphic needle drawing pen, also art department at Michael's, to just give my piece a little extra something something. And all I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna take this pen and I'm just going to trace around short strokes around the outside of my heart to give it that extra little something. Now this is not necessary, not imperative that you do this. I just like to do it for, I don't know, I think it gives it a little extra something. Just kind of outline the edges. I can't tilt it, I'd love to show you. So now what we're gonna do is mix resin, okay? Because we need to adhere that, I'm doing not so good. I got 4 minutes, okay. So I have to mix resin for 3 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that started really quick. I'm gonna dump part 1 into my cup. We'll cut down the mixing time a little since it's only an ounce. This is a 1/2 ounce of resin and a 1/2 ounce of hardener. We're gonna mix this for 3 minutes or less. Mix it together in a separate cup. I'm gonna put my gloves on so I don't make a mess. And we are going to drizzle this over our glass and over the rest of I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna drizzle this over our glass as well as the rest of our canvas. So we may go over, and if we do, I apologize, just pop off, go watch the next artist, and you can come back and watch the rest of this later, okay? So guys, remember too, while I'm mixing, I'm gonna mix for at least a minute or so. While I'm mixing, remember, if I don't answer your question, I'll come back and answer it after the craft-a-thon is over. And if you're a first-timer here, welcome. We are so happy that you're here, and we would love for you to like our page and come back and hang out with us again so that you can get all the gory details about what we do and how we mix our resin and all the beautiful things that we create on this page. So excited you're here. All you newbies, if you're new, give me some hearts. Give me some hearts. And I want to remind you too that we go live every Wednesday on the Art Shattered page. Okay, so we're going to pretend I mixed this for 3 minutes because that's super, super important. But I'm going to go ahead and drizzle on my glass. And I knew I was going to cut it short. You want to drizzle the resin on all your glass bits so that they stay in place and don't fall off, okay? So we're gonna drizzle on the glass, and then once we have all the glass covered, we're gonna take our resin and spread it around the rest of the canvas, okay? So make sure anything that's glass you cover really nicely. And this is 1 ounce of resin for this entire piece. All right, so I'm gonna drizzle. I'm so bad. I'm a bad craft-a-thoner. Oh, there's a hair or something. We don't want that. I'm gonna go ahead and just pour all the way around. Get all that resin out of this cup. Seriously, guys, if you are following every crafting post, just skip on and come back and watch this, because here's literally what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use my gloved hands and I am gonna spread the resin around the rest of my bare canvas, and then I'm gonna hit it with a heat gun or a propane torch, whatever you might have handy. I'm gonna heat it up to pop any bubbles from the resin, and then it is done.